193 talks about what an electrolytic cell is. Unlike a voltaic cell, which uses chemical energy to create electrical energy, an electrolytic cell does the opposite. It uses the electrical energy of a battery to power some chemical reaction. So in this case, electrical energy is being converted into chemical energy. That wouldn't normally happen otherwise. So we can use a battery to cause a reaction, a chemical reaction that wouldn't normally occur, to happen by using the energy of the battery. We would therefore call this a non-spontaneous reaction because this chemical reaction doesn't normally happen under normal circumstances. We have to use the power of the battery in order to power that chemical reaction. So let's look at some problems. Which device requires electrical energy to produce a chemical change? Well, if you look at the definition of an electrolytic cell, it uses electrical energy to produce a chemical change. Therefore, the answer is an electrolytic cell. A voltaic cell would have these answers reversed. It uses chemical energy to create electrical energy, and the salt bridge you learned previously is necessary for the migration of ions to prevent polarization of sides. An electrolytic cell differs from a voltaic cell because an electrolytic cell again, if you said answer choice 4, you got it correct. And this comes straight from the definition. We're using some outside energy source from a battery to create a non-spontaneous chemical reaction to occur. Basically, it's saying we're using the energy of a battery to use or power a chemical reaction that wouldn't naturally occur on its own, therefore making it non-spontaneous. The apparatus shown in the diagram consists of two inert platinum electrodes immersed in water. A small amount of an electrolyte, hydrogen sulfate, must be added to the water for the reaction to take place. The electrodes are connected to a source that supplies electricity. What type of electrochemical cell is shown? So notice that this electrochemical cell requires a battery, and within this liquid is water and hydrogen sulfate. As a result, this water is being separated and decomposed in its two components, oxygen and hydrogen. So what's happening here is the decomposition of water into its component gases, hydrogen and oxygen, using a battery to perform this process. This process that requires a battery is, of course, using an electrolytic cell, so answer choice 2. And this special reaction that involves the separation of water into its components is, of course, called decomposition, but because it uses an electrolytic cell, we would call this electrolysis, or the electrolysis of water. And it uses it to separate it into its component elements. An electrolytic cell is different from a voltaic cell because in an electrolytic cell, notice that voltaic and electrolytic cells both involve a redox reaction, and electrolytic cells are non-spontaneous. Therefore, the answer choice is 4, because an electric current causes a chemical reaction. In a voltaic cell, we create an electric current from the natural chemistry happening in the chemical reaction. So when it comes to electrolytic cells, please note that we're using the electrical energy to convert into chemical energy. And this electrical energy from an outside source, usually a battery, is being used to power a chemical reaction that does not occur spontaneously. It is not non-spontaneous. Therefore, it requires an outside energy source in order for that non-spontaneous chemical reaction to occur. Thank you for watching.